morning, everyone. I'd like to tell you a little bit about a project I've been working on. We're actually right in the middle of our second year right now, called ArtPrize. This is actually a picture of an installation that's at ArtPrize right now in Grand Rapids, Michigan, that is installed and people looking in on it. So ArtPrize is a really simple idea. It's the world's largest art prize, and it's decided by a public vote. In 2009, we gave away $449,000 in prizes. We had over 330,000 votes cast, had about 200,000 people come through town, hosted 1,262 artists in 159 venues. Those artists represented 14 countries, 41 states, all over the course of 16 days. And this year, it's pretty much 50% larger in almost every one of those metrics. I'd just like to share a little bit about how this works and some principles that went into the design of ArtPrize and how they can be applied to, I think, other projects and other thoughts about invigorating cities in Michigan. So the rules of ArtPrize are very simple. You have to be 18, and you have to show your work somewhere in a 3-square-mile area of Grand Rapids, represented on that map. That space represents hundreds, if not thousands, of possible venues. We don't make any sort of restriction in terms of size or medium. It can be the size of a building. It can be the size of a pinhead. There's no sort of restriction on it. Artists and venues actually choose each other in that process. So 1,262 artists, 159 venues last year. We have 1,700 artists this year. It's a lot of people that have to talk to each other and figure things out. And basically how that happens is we totally step out of the middle of it. So artprize.org really acts as a matching platform. Artists create profiles, venues create profiles. Certain venues are in higher demand because they are in kind of high traffic locations. Certain artists are in high demand because they have a great resume, really powerful work that presents well on photographs. You know, it's this kind of dynamic marketplace that works itself out, that we just facilitate and provide the platform for, but don't dictate, you know, this needs to go there, that needs to go there. It's all these private parties kind of figuring it out on their own. Now, we give away a very large prize, and that's very intentional. It's supposed to be a spectacle, essentially. So the prize is large to capture the imagination of the city. It's supposed to be a big civic event. It's supposed to draw a lot of people in and get them excited about looking at art, talking about art, judging art, and that's really the point, is that it's a catalyst. It's not about validating a specific creative output. It's really about being that catalyst that creates the attention, creates the conversation, and creates all the cool interactions that come out of it. There's kind of 5 design principles that we've kind of pulled out from the first year that we think made it successful and will continue to make it a success. Simple equals complex. Really simple mechanics and keeping rules as simple and basic as possible can lead to really complex and amazing outcomes that you can't plan and anticipate. This is a great example, this image of an artist in an installation last year. This artist works he puts down large piles of salt and then screen prints images of people from the community on the salt, and then he illuminates each one with a single incandescent bulb. This was a very powerful installation. It only exists in photographs and people's memories now. It's just swept up when it's done. But if we had tried to say, well, this is just about painting, or that, you know, art needs to fit these certain parameters, it never would have happened. This was an empty commercial space. The space reached out to the artist. The artist saw the potential in the space, and they created something amazing that received a lot of attention and touched a lot of people and changed their perception about what art could be in West Michigan. Art equals community. This is really about it's really important to have a focus. So for ArtPrize, that focus is art. So art's kind of the focus, but community becomes the main event. People were able to see the city and the community in a completely different light. People were coming downtown, seeing works all over, seeing other people seeing those works with them, discussing with them, and as a result, saw their community in a new light, saw each other in a new light, and that's just an incredibly powerful thing that, you know, this is actually an image there's 100,000 paper airplanes dropped off the top of buildings last year, and tens of thousands of people filled the streets to watch that. And I had actually grandparents tell me that that's the most people they'd seen in downtown Grand Rapids since the war ended, which is kind of interesting. Third, building a culture of experimentation. I think this is really, really, really important as we think about our cities and thinking about putting on amazing events. When you have a culture of experimentation, new relationships, new collaborations can come out of it. But experimentation also means there's room for failure. There's room for a lot of bad art. There's room for a lot of screwy stuff. And believe me, ArtPrize is full of really weird and screwy stuff. We have things that look like Disneyland theme park rides and fine art paintings. It's this total mishmash, but everybody is so engaged with the process and learning so much in that process. We think it's really worth it just to let that experimentation happen. There's actually an ArtPrize worst Tumblr that somebody started this year that highlights the worst entries with some really snarky commentary, which I think is actually kind of great. It is mean, but it is kind of great. Fourth, people want to have fun. I think we don't appreciate this enough, thinking about how we're running cities or running events. We take a lot of flack for this from ArtPrize. We're very intentionally fun. We're very intentionally participatory. The fact that it's a public vote that decides how these prizes are allocated is fun and interesting to people, and that is really threatening to folks because art is very serious and needs to be treated very seriously, which I think is hilarious. But when people are fun, when they're having fun, they're engaged, they're learning much more. For me, my favorite school years were preschool, Montessori school, doing water work and stacking work. I literally remember it to this day because it was experiential, because it was hands-on. And I think we don't really appreciate that enough when we're thinking about building experiences, building events, building communities and cities. Seeing ourselves as a small part of a much larger ecosystem is really what this is about. You equals creator. It's not so much about putting yourself at the center and trying to command and control everything. I'm a control freak about a lot of things. I don't know where my slide went. Oh, I think I hit a button and screwed it up. Sorry. By taking yourself out of the center of it and creating a environment in which all sorts of leaders can emerge in all sorts of different areas of that environment, you can create things much larger than you could yourself. So we see ourselves as just this catalyst, again, this framework upon which venues and artists and voters and all these sponsors, downtown merchants, everybody kind of comes together in this big sort of happening, and we're not telling anybody how it's going to happen. We just kind of set the basic rules and see what unfolds. What will you bring is really kind of the question that we ask a lot, and I think is a question that we should think about when we're thinking about events and when we're thinking about how to make Michigan cities better. It comes back to that last point about thinking of ourselves as a small part in a much larger ecosystem. What can you bring as the question that we ask to people that want to be a part of our communities, want to be a part of our events, and not trying to own everything ourselves at the center, but really trying to build capacity broadly. Not so much about trying to have the brilliant idea, but creating situations where thousands of others can bring their own motivations, their own brilliant ideas, their own failures, and create something great. Essentially, it can all be summed up with have a direction, get out of the way, and let people be as creative as they can going after it. Thank you.